You're going to be a badass female who is going to empower so many people. Like, pick yourself up by your bootstraps, chin up, and keep going.
I'm the best of the best. I'm the best of the best.
And so I've learned how to handle myself in business situations, how to market myself as an individual.
And the platform's pretty large.
Yeah. You think that you have to always have it together and you always have to have the right answers. Yes, sir. No, ma'am. And I just lived like that with other people too, whether it was friendships or anyone who disrespected me. I didn't have a backbone. In reality, with doing social media, you kind of are your own business. You're an entrepreneur in one way or another. I was debating thoughts of if I wanted to be here anymore. I actually haven't had somebody ask me that. But you know what? You've taught me a lesson in life. This is business, but also personal. When you feel like quitting, don't. I have so much love for this, but I'm not in love with it. I'm building this life for myself.
Like, what do you want for you? Not for them, not for anybody else. What do you want for you?
You know, I don't even know who my rawest, truest form is.
Welcome to another exciting episode of today's podcast. Today we're joined by a remarkable individual who has been fearlessly pursued her goals in search of her full potential. Joining us is Ashley Flores. Ashley's path from humble beginnings to social media influencer to entrepreneur is a tale that inspires. But her narrative extends beyond the world of what is just seen on social media. In this episode, we'll journey through Ashley's personal story, exploring pivotal moments, triumphs, and failures in the world of business, relationships, fitness, and the wisdom gained along the way. So get comfortable, open your minds, and get ready to be captivated as we unravel the intricate layers that make up Ashley Flores' story. Welcome to the podcast, Ashley. I'm thrilled to have you.
I can't wait to be here.
Amazing, amazing. So at the beginning of the podcast, I like to ask everybody a hard question.
Oh,
Yeah,
great.
can't wait. So if you could make a 20-second phone call to yourself at any point in your life, present or future, when
Wait,
would you?
present or do you mean past and future?
Well, both.
Okay,
So
okay.
present, past, or future.
Okay.
When would you call
Ooh,
and what would you say?
let's make it dark quick.
Oh, well.
Oh, yeah.
We'll just roll with it.
I think I can straight off the top of my head think of two different times because I trust my future self to learn from mistakes or things that I've gone through in the past and present. So I'd feel like they don't need a pick-me-up call. Present, I'm still living through it. I don't need a pick-me-up call, so definitely past. There's two specific times, but if I had to choose, I think it would be when I was in high school. No one knew. My parents didn't know. My close friends didn't know. People who were bullying me didn't know, but I was struggling mentally, and I was debating thoughts of if I wanted to be here anymore. And if I could do a call, not to elaborate too much, I would just say, get your shit together, girl. Like, you are going to be a can I curse?
Oh, yeah, go for it.
You are going to be a badass female who is going to empower so many people. Like, pick yourself up by your bootstraps, chin up, and keep going. Because I didn't think there was like a future for me, so I didn't think that far ahead.
What age were you?
I was like 16, 17.
What was that version of you like?
Insecure, for sure. Definitely insecure. I was a people pleaser. I feel like growing up military-based style, you think that you have to always have it together and you always have to have the right answers. Yes, sir. No, ma'am. And I just lived like that with other people too, whether it was friendships or anyone who disrespected me. I didn't have a backbone.
Yeah.
I appeared like I did, but I didn't. And I also pretended a lot. I faked my way through.
Fake it till you make it?
Yeah, 100%. And I would not recommend it.
Do you think it helped you get to where you are, though?
Absolutely. Like, you know how sometimes people will be like, oh, I wish I could go back and change it? I wouldn't have. I'm glad that I went through certain struggles in my life, whether it was where I lived or in college or moving to California, not having a dime in my bank account. Like, I am grateful for every single moment because it brought me to where I am. And it also made me appreciate things so much more differently. Like, even growing up, I remember I would go visit my brother at college, and my mom and I would go to Goodwill. And I didn't know Goodwill was a secondhand store that like people were like, oh,
It's amazing. I love Goodwill.
yeah, I love Goodwill. Like thrifting is a thing. If you don't do
Yeah.
it, you should do it. But I remember like I would go and I would find cute little steals, and then I would go to school and people would be like, oh, where'd you get it from? I'd be like, Goodwill. And I didn't know that that was, at that time, like thrifting wasn't really a thing. And people were like, oh, Goodwill? And I'm like, Goodwill? Like I said it with my chest.
Yeah.
And so now as I'm older and I'm able to be financially more stable and I could afford different things, like I still appreciate those little things. I still want to go to Goodwill and go thrift and buy all the things. So yeah, I feel like that kind of influenced me a bit.
What was the moment for your 16-year-old self, right?
Okay.
Because that's where we are.
Yeah.
That you realized that you would be able to pull yourself out.
Knowing that I could go to college. Yeah. And my parents, there came a point in time, I remember this day specifically, my parents had gotten a call from one of my friends' parents saying, hey, I'm so sorry, I didn't know that my daughter had anything to do with this. And my parents are like, what are you talking about? And they didn't know that I was getting bullied on different platforms. And I think a lot of people didn't either, but that's when like People's Dirt existed or all these other weird websites and Twitter.
People's Dirt?
Yeah, People's Dirt. It was
What was that?
it was like a online web forum where people would get like, you
Like
could,
Reddit?
Sure.
Oh,
yeah.
all
Like
right.
probably like Reddit or something.
Yeah.
And that's like when social media was just starting and I didn't have it. So it's kind of,
MySpace times.
yes.
Okay,
And
good.
it's kind of ironic that now I am a social media person because I like resented it at that time. But I remember this day specifically, and my mom came down because I was acting out. I was like trying to fight people. I was fighting with my parents. I was just literally a shell of a person and putting on this really strong persona. My parents were like, what's wrong with you? Like, what's going on? And I just remember I looked at my mom and I screamed and screamed. And I was like, I can't do it anymore. And my mom was like, what is going on? And I think finally being honest with them that I was feeling so helpless and hopeless, they supported me the best way they knew how. And they were like, okay, what college do you want to go to? How about this? You have so much more to live for. And they kind of gave me hope. And they never, I don't even think they can remember that day specifically, but it lives rent free in my head all the time. And whenever I think back to that time, I'm so grateful that they handled it the way they did, the best way they could. But yeah, going to college, like getting out of where I grew up, becoming a whole different person. I kind of cut ties with a lot of people that even if they were amazing people in my life, I just cut ties because it reminded me of a person I didn't want to be anymore. And I just made a new life for myself.
Growth. We love it.
Yeah.
Where did you go to college?
Arizona State University.
That's right.
Sun Devil.
I was trying to, I did some deep, I don't want to say stalking, but let's call it research,
Oh,
right?
That's fine.
Last night, I was like, where did you go to college? So you went to college in Arizona.
Yeah.
You put yourself through college, right?
So my parents helped me. We applied for so many scholarships, so many. And luckily I got quite a few scholarships. I had a really good GPA. I joined a sorority. So all these different things kind of helped me pave my way. And since my brother went there, tuition was a little bit cheaper for me too, because it was within the family.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Real
But yeah,
nice.
I definitely, I worked 4 jobs at one point and was going to full-time class.
What did you study?
I did business communications and international marketing with a minor in sociology.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
Very, very. Have you used any of it?
I feel like all of it in a
Okay.
sense. Yeah. All of it. And I didn't realize that up until recently because in reality with doing social media, you kind of are your own business. You're an entrepreneur in one way or another. And so I've learned how to handle myself in business situations, how to market myself as an individual, maybe not internationally, but maybe actually. Yeah.
I mean, your platform's pretty large. Like, yeah.
Yeah. And then sociology, just learning off of people's mannerisms and picking up on their body language and trying to figure out, are they actually intrigued or not? Because I can read the room a lot more easily. And people don't realize I'm reading them, but majority of the time I'm kind of reading the situation.
Do you think that ability to read the room or read somebody's...
It's toxic.
Well, I wasn't going to say that.
It's toxic.
I was going to say it's very helpful. But do you think a level of that comes from your childhood?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it comes from fight or flight.
Yeah.
Because you essentially have built yourself up as much as you can, and you're just trying to figure out who to trust within 5 seconds. And if you don't get that good energy right away, it's like, oh, I'm done. Next person.
I like it.
Yeah. You like it, but it's also sometimes you and I can be both on the little toxic wave sometimes. Of,
I mean, most definitely, right? Every
yeah.
person can have the what's
the
the
trauma
right word?
response.
The toxic capabilities, right? Which
Yeah.
wolf do you decide to feed is both within us, right?
Yeah.
Or within everybody.
Yeah.
The concept of having codependent or narcissistic tendencies is within everybody.
Yep.
It's just which wolf do we decide to feed?
Hey, I went to therapy for codependency, so
Right there with you.
yeah.
Right there with you.
Yeah.
Okay, so as I was stalking your social media last night, I
Okay.
tried to roll through your Instagram. And I was
Oh,
like,
cringe.
No,
I
we're
need
not
to
doing
delete
that.
this.
So I was like, we'll go to YouTube.
Yeah.
Much easier. So I came across your very first one, right?
Oh.
Which you posted, I think, roughly like 7 years ago. You're in your car, getting ready to go to the gym. You pull forward in the car because you're worried about the man beside you watching you film. What?
Oh,
I was like, how times have changed.
Yeah.
In that moment, what was it that made you decide to go full force into social media?
It's kind of, I actually haven't had somebody ask me that. And I feel like that's actually a good question. I think it was subconscious. Like I never decided, hey, I want to be a social media person. I want to be an influencer. I want to have a huge following. That wasn't the end goal. But I remember seeing people, like example, Christian Guzman, one of my really good friends, or Heidi Somers, or Heidi Guzman, got to put some respect on the new wifey name. Like I remember seeing how much of an influence they had and how personable they were. And I was like, you know what, this would be fun. Like, let me just make a little diary of my fitness self, because I was starting my whole fitness journey. I was just graduating college, going into a new phase of my life, turned down a few job opportunities that I feel like didn't align with me, was trying to find a job. Like, I was in la la
I'm pretty
land.
sure you just went for a job interview in that post.
I did,
Yeah.
and I got it, just so you know.
Oh, shit,
She
okay.
didn't want me to get it, but I got it.
Because in the thing, you're like, I'm not sure if I got it.
Yeah.
So you got it.
I ended
Nice.
up getting it.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
It was a personal training job. I don't know why I was stressing over it, but I got it.
In Arizona?
No, this was in Maryland. So at
Okay.
the time I was in a long distance relationship, and I
Okay.
had traveled back home to go try to find a job there. And that lasted all of a few months before I jumped ship and moved to California.
So when did you move to California?
February 2017. On a
Damn.
whim.
Damn.
On
So
a
you got
whim.
here a year after I did.
Did I?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
came March of 2016.
Yeah, literally a year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
I
Crazy,
know.
crazy.
Was yours a whim too?
So I always wanted to live in California, LA specifically, which, the reasons for that we don't need to talk about.
Yeah.
But
I feel you on some of those questions.
yeah. But I ended up in Newport Beach specifically only because of the job and that the visa was attached to. So when the opportunity arose to move, it was like, oh, we take it now, we don't at all.
Yeah.
Packed up everything, sold everything, came across. Haven't
Yeah.
looked back.
Good for you.
Yeah.
No regrets, right?
No.
I know. I feel like it was the best decision I ever made.
Yeah, it's like in some ways it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, but the most rewarding.
Hard because you lose your comfort zone and everybody that you know and
Yep.
love.
Yep.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
Yeah.
So you get to California, 2017, sorry.
Yes.
Then what?
So my first apartment I had shared with an ex, and we won't go down that rabbit hole, but I had
We can cycle back. Like, it's fine.
He doesn't deserve the time of day. But I quit my job that I had originally got out here the day before I got here. And so then I was like, oh crap, how am I going to pay my half of the rent? How am I going to pay for food and groceries? How am I going to do any of this? And so that's luckily when I had already built some sort of small following on social media. I was already a trainer. I was like, you know what? Let me start doing training. And I did that, realized it could become a job. And from that, you're already training in the gym. I started getting sponsorships, and then it just blossomed overnight. From 2017, I went from making no money to 6 figures, like within 1 year. And it was
Impressive.
It was just
Highly
insane.
impressive, yeah.
It was just, I don't even know. Shock. I still can't even, it's speechless. Like I look back and I'm like, you did the damn thing, girl. You did it.
Literally.
Yeah.
Was that, so within making the 6 figures, right, within the year, is that all from brand deals and then sponsorships?
At that time, yeah. It was a little bit from the coaching business, but majority just from long-term partnerships, actually. At that time, I wasn't even doing any short-term or brand deals. I didn't start doing brand deals up until 2 years ago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
In between that, it was like 2018 or 19 that you started Selfish.
Yes.
Was it 19 or 18?
2019. It was during the pandemic, and
go.
I had just bought my house.
Wait, you mean 2020?
No, I bought my house 2019.
But the pandemic was 2020.
Oh, so 2019, I bought my house.
Okay, great.
And then my main source of income,
Yeah.
I lost. I actually lost 2 of my main sources of income. So I was like, crap, I have a mortgage and I have barely any income all of a sudden. And it felt like I was back in 2017. And I decided, you know what, let's start a business. And so I started Selfish. And the whole name behind it was because people had such this negative I can't even pronounce it, association.
I was like, I don't know what word you're trying to say for me to even jump in to help you.
Connotation?
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 Connotation? I don't know. There we
Connotation. So people had this negative connotation. Thank you. They had this negative association with the word selfish, but in reality, I had never been selfish my entire life. And so that's when I decided, you know what, I do need to like not be pouring from an empty cup. I need to make sure that I'm full first. And so that's literally where the name had come from, was, you know what, you need to pour energy into yourself before you could actually have a good relationship, a happy mindset, good relationships with friends, a stable job, all this stuff. And so I was in not necessarily fight or flight mode, but I was in the, all right, let's hustle and grind, baby. Let's get it done, because
survive.
Literally survive.
Yeah.
Like, you're not about to go bankrupt on this house. So that's kind of how Selfish was built. And then I ended up walking away from my only other source, one of my only other sources of income. And luckily other things just kind of came about. Another door opened.
I was going to say, that's usually how it works, right? Everything goes up in flames and then there's a clear path that's
Yeah.
illuminated.
Exactly. It like burns the way for you. And you're like, oh, I should have done this earlier.
Let's go back to the relationship.
Oh, shit.
Not that we have to give him any airtime, right? But
Yeah.
what did you learn from it? Because 90% of women, well, I'm not going to say 90%, some women out there, including self, right, end up in situations and or relationships and we're like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah, I look back and say, what the fuck were you doing?
Yeah.
I
Right?
literally look back.
Yeah. But at the time we're like, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
What did you learn from it?
I learned quite a lot. I
There we go.
think from that whole breakup is when I leveled up completely, because I learned so much about myself and other people. But I think more specifically is trust your gut, because like I knew deep down that I was probably getting cheated on, but I didn't walk away.
I was going to say, are you open to discussing the reason as to it closed?
Cheating.
Yeah.
Yeah. But hey,
We
they're
live and
happy.
we learn.
I'm thriving. It's
Yeah,
good.
right? Okay, so I looked at one of your other YouTube videos and I found this very interesting because you just came back from, I think it was Thailand. So they're talking like 2018.
Yeah.
And you're talking about how you had a panic attack. The reason that I clicked on this video was it was like, what is my purpose? And it's like, is my purpose fitness or leaving fitness is something like the title.
A battle I still face all the time.
Yeah, I went deep.
Yeah.
I was like,
You did your research,
I
baby.
did. I did. I was like, actually going to think I'm weird for this. But
No,
anyway.
I actually love it. It's kind of like bringing back.
Yeah, well, when I watched it, I was
Yeah.
like, I wonder if Ashley's actually watched this back for herself.
To be honest, I actually hid a lot of my YouTube videos
Oh, damn.
out of like fear of people looking back and seeing it.
You should
and
get
now
back and
I
watch
should-
this one. You then go on to say like how you post on social media. You try and incorporate different topics, whether that be relationships,
Mental health.
mental health,
fitness.
suicide, fitness, and all that. But the topics that are the most important to you, people seem to brush over.
Yeah.
What are the topics that are the most important to you?
mental health, anything surrounding mental health, and becoming a better version of you. I feel like you can post this, here I am, muscle mommy, kind of provide no sort of information or help for people, and it goes viral. But you post something with depth and advice for people that could help a previous you, and it's just like scroll.
Yeah, no dopamine hit, right? But
Yeah.
how do you balance that between having your happy days or the highs or the lows, while simultaneously being able to show up on a platform where the understanding that people have those days is not actually fully accepted yet?
I think I'm honest with people. I notice in some of my darker moments, I tell people now, because I
Yeah.
used to try to fight through it and I would just burn out, and then I would become resentful of social media, which is not my goal. Like, I want it to be a community at the end of the day. And so now I kind of share with people, hey, like, this is how I'm feeling, just so you guys know. But it also, it's kind of walking a fine line, because sometimes people go through things a lot and they have bad days a lot. And then it seems like you're just crying for help and you're the girl who cried wolf.
Yeah, I don't like being a burden on people.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'll just, what's the word? Withdraw. I
Yeah.
withdraw.
Yeah.
And that's not helpful for anybody.
Yeah.
But you are right. You don't want to, I can't speak for everybody, but you don't want to be the person that cries wolf or the person that seems like she doesn't have her shit together.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that, there was something that I was going to say and I forgot. Oh, you're allowed to show up in different ways. Like, people think that you can only show up when you're on a good day.
Yeah.
Or you can only show up when you just landed this cool business deal, or you like just got engaged, or I had the best day of my life. Like, there's all these reasons that people think like, oh, I have to show up today. But it's like, why can't you show up when you're feeling sad, but you want to still talk to people? Like, when I'm feeling sad and I'm in my head and I want to be alone, I do that. I withdraw just like you. I have my moment. I navigate it and I make sure, like, okay, I'm in a good place to not let anyone else's opinions or reactions to my own feelings affect me. It's like a fine line. Yeah. Still
Between
navigating it.
withdrawing and being a hermit and
All the above.
yeah.
I'm still figuring it out. I feel like there is no right or wrong when you have a platform.
So your big kickoff was the fitness space, right? In social media. That's how you led off. How did that, or prioritizing health, position you to a point where you've become extremely successful?
I think because I created a community with people that was more personable and more vulnerable. And in 2017, when I went through like another dark phase in my life, I shared that openly with people, not to details because I didn't want to defame anyone by any means, but like, I still shared my personal struggles and things that I was going through in the growth, while also simultaneously sharing fitness and passions that I love and fun recipes and fashion. And I think it allowed people to see me in a big sister role, which is what I wanted.
Okay.
Yeah, because I never had an older sister or a younger sister, but I thought to myself, if I did, how would I want them to be treated, or how would I want them to treat me? And that's the way I try to keep my social media.
You're the oldest, right? In your family?
No, I'm actually the youngest.
Oh, are you?
But I feel like I
thought you
take
were
on the oldest role.
Maybe that's why I thought you were the oldest.
Yeah.
And I thought your brother was younger.
Yeah. Well, like, my family just went through struggles in life,
Yeah.
you know? And so I definitely took on that older protective role at a young age for my brother. But we won't go into that.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. We don't have to go there.
Yeah.
How did you take on that role then? Like, how did it show up in the rest of your life?
Can you elaborate?
No, of course. So you essentially positioned yourself where you took on the older sibling role, or the
Yeah.
protector of.
The fix you
Yeah.
role.
Yeah. Okay. We can call it that.
Yeah.
How did it show up in other areas? So if you were showing up in that way in your home, how did it show up in friendships or
I was going to say,
relationships?
it has
or-
definitely showed up in friendships.
Yeah.
It's definitely showed up to where I found myself pouring my energy into people that I felt needed saving. Or people that resembled me in some sort of way. And then I would get upset because if they're trying to still show up for themselves, how can I expect them to show up for me?
Yeah.
And so that definitely resembled in friendships. But I also think work-wise, in a positive light, it worked because I was able to help more people. And if people came to me with a lot of baggage, because suppose they can't afford therapy, they just needed some sort of outlet or some sort of advice, I felt confident to do that for them, because that's what I've been doing for years, for internally in family.
Like being the what's the word?
Think.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like being like the guardrail for people, right? Or the
Yeah,
post that stands strong.
Yeah, that is me, and it can be tiring.
I bet.
Yeah, but I like
Well,
it.
Yeah, you and me alike.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're definitely alike in that aspect.
Yeah.
But I like it. I wouldn't trade it. Would
Not
you?
any aspects of it.
Um,
I would. I personally would.
I would trade that I take on people's emotion.
Same.
So if someone's having a bad day, I'm having a bad day.
Yeah, let me
Like,
take it for you.
Yeah, like let me take it for you, but now it's 10 times fold.
Yeah.
It's even worse.
Mine shows up in like ways of being the martyr and or the savior complex. So it's like, let me take it on because you can't. So I just rob the person of their own lesson, and then semi become resentful because I took on your problems when you never really asked me to anyway.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
then I just robbed you of the lesson you were meant to learn.
But you know what? You've taught me a lesson in life.
Oh, have I?
Yeah.
Oh, we love this.
Yeah, you've taught me a lesson in life.
Let's hear it.
You and I went on a walk, and you told me about your expectations in a friendship and my expectations in a friendship.
yeah.
And you taught me a lesson.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. But
What was the lesson?
it took me like a year to realize it.
Okay.
But that you can't, one, boundaries,
Yeah, love that.
100% boundaries. But two, learning that just because your love languages are a certain way, you can't expect other friends to read your, or partners to read your mind and show up that way for you.
Yeah.
Unless you're having those proper talks about it. Like, how am I supposed to know that I want you to save me at the gym every single fucking day?
Just
if I
be there
don't,
waiting.
if I don't tell you, hey, thank you so much for being there
Yeah.
for me, it meant a lot more than you could realize, and I would appreciate it if you did it a lot more, because some days I just can't, and if you can't show up for me that way, I completely understand, because you're going through your own battles. Because at the
I was
time,
going to say, are you speaking this to me now, Ashley? Or
at the now, surprise, you see me at the gym later.
like I'm giving you a hidden message.
Yeah, but at the time, like, I couldn't have expected that of you, because
Yeah.
you were going through your own
Turmoil.
yes,
Yeah.
majorly. So you definitely taught me that, because we all live in our own worlds, and we want the energy we give, but sometimes people are not capable of that. And
Yeah.
it's not because they don't love you. They love you so much, but they're just trying to love themselves first a little bit.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so. And I'm glad I could teach you that lesson.
Yeah. Shout out.
It's funny. Someone said to me, maybe like a year ago, and I was in the gym. I feel like it was Nate for some reason.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, I
Was
feel
it
like
like
it
a
was
joke
Nate.
behind it or something?
It was either Nate Brody or someone. But they're like, when are you going to start pouring into the people who poured into you? And I was like,
Damn.
snap.
That's kind of heavy.
Yeah. And I was like, well, fair.
Yeah.
I was like, but I can't give anything to you.
Yeah.
Like, I know you want something, but I
Yeah.
can't give it to you. Not right now.
How did that make you feel? Because to me, that kind of felt like a dig, and that wasn't even towards me.
I didn't take it that way
Okay, good.
because I didn't take it that way because, people, it's like when we went on that walk, right? People want to or expect a certain level from you, not realizing that on the reciprocal end, it might not be able to be given.
Yeah.
So while the expectation might be like, well, I need you to show up here. And it's like, well, I can't right now.
Yeah.
So you might feel that way, and
Yeah.
that's okay. But I'm here and I can't do that for you.
Yeah.
So in the moment, I was like, you know what? It sucks. You're right. But I have nothing to give you.
Well, also, people's perception is not your reality.
Correct.
And it's not your responsibility to make it your reality.
Correct. Yeah. So for people who are thinking about starting their own business, what we're like, without going into like either of your businesses, right? What were 3 key takeaways that you learned from them?
One, this is from
Wait,
Selfish.
I was gonna say, did we mention what Selfish is, or did we just?
Selfish is a jewelry company.
Okay, great. I was like, we just
Yeah.
say the name. Yeah.
But business wise,
Yeah.
like not in terms of like any business, like this could be for anything, not even just from like my own experiences, but make sure you have all your all your T's crossed and your I's dotted. Like make sure you have the LLC, make sure you have a separate bank account, make sure that you have a proper CPA and accountant to help you handle everything so you're not piercing.
Do you have a bookkeeper now?
Yeah, do you need one?
No.
Oh.
I remember seeing on one of your stories where you're like, I need to get a bookkeeper. And I
Yeah,
was like, you
because
should get one.
when I got started,
Yeah.
I didn't know any better. I was like, my business and my personal, they were one. Like
shit.
it was terrible.
Yeah,
I didn't
okay.
know, but everybody was just getting started. And so I luckily went out and found a financial advisor, a new CPA, a bookkeeper, like everything to make sure everything was all settled, because you don't want to mess with any of that. So that is one piece of advice, 100% for sure. But two, this is business, but also personal. Set your future self up. Like start savings accounts.
Yeah.
If I could look back to when I first started making money, I would not have been buying those stupid bags and things. I would have been investing it.
I feel like everyone has to go through that though.
Oh, you 100%, because you're not used to having that kind of
Money.
that money. So you're just like, I love this. And it's like, you can love those things. You can have those things, but make sure you're still setting aside X amount for your savings account, X amount for your actual 401k or your Roth IRA or different things like that. I think that's so important. And that goes for whether you're your own business owner or you work for a business. It doesn't matter. Like 100% recommend that.
We don't want to get to retirement and have nothing.
Exactly.
Or be dependent on
Even if it's a little bit, just a wee bit, set yourself up just a tiny bit. And then third, it always gets harder before
it gets better.
it gets better.
Everything.
And that goes for everything, but even businesses, like when you feel like quitting, don't. And I say that even though I quit a business, but like,
I don't think quitting's bad.
I don't think quitting's bad either. I think quitting, how are you supposed to know what's meant for you and not meant for you if you don't try?
The hardest thing for me to do was come to terms with the fact that I was not quitting.
Yeah.
That it was just you're moving on from this,
Yeah.
not you failed or you quit. The business in itself did very well,
Yeah,
right? But
yeah.
it's no longer for me, thus time to move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. And I think trying to trust yourself on which decision that is.
Yeah, it was
too.
hard.
Yeah.
Not
Because
an
you
easy
could have kept going and just kept scaling and keep growing, but it wasn't serving you.
No, not in
Yeah.
the ways that I wanted it to, or not in the ways that, when you look at other people and you're like, oh, you will love this far greater than what I can right now, or what I used to love it. And I think when you start to get to that position or point, it's like, okay, it's time to move on.
Yeah, 100%. I think that would be my number 3, is just really trust yourself in the decision that you make and stick with it. So if you want to ride the wave and go through the dark times or the hard times, $0 in your bank account, but keep rooting for it, you do it for like to make a business scale. Or if you realize like, you know what, I have so much love for this, but I'm not in love with it anymore, or it's not making me feel the way it once did, I am okay with closing that chapter, closing the door, walking away and seeing what other door opens.
And I'm going to add to this.
Yeah.
Even when you make the decision and it feels like you made the wrong decision or you're upset about it, it's still the right decision.
This was in my 30 things that I learned when I turned 30.
Oh, there we go.
That was one of my things is like, just because it feels like you made the wrong decision doesn't mean it was. And that goes for all sorts of things, not just business.
Relationships. If you're questioning it, you're not meant to be there. Like, just straight up.
Yeah.
Business, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. What keeps you up at night?
Oh.
PG.
Yeah.
Like, let's keep it PG.
That's actually a good question, because my mind races when I'm sleeping. Like, races.
While you're asleep? Oh, before
Like before I fall
Okay,
asleep. And poor Nate,
I was like, that's
I'm like
impressive.
next to him in bed, and he's just like, I randomly start talking about something. I'd be like, oh my God, I have to do this. And he's like, it's 2 a.m., go to bed. I'm like, but I have to do this. But what if this happens? What if that happens? I just spiral. But what
Overthinking?
yeah, that's me. Middle name. But what necessarily keeps me up at night the most, I think, is how am I going to take care of my parents? I don't think that's what you expected me to say. But it is like I'm building this life for myself, but it means nothing if I can't take care of them at the end of the day.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Like
They
you
gave-
can't have your family.
Yeah. So it's like, what can I do? I think that's why I'm so hard on myself about performing for brands the way that I show up and do, is because if I can get X amount of more money, that can contribute to my parents and living the life that they deserve and having the house that they've always wanted and living closer to my brother and I, and maybe give them grandbabies and all these different things. Like, I just want them to have the life that they deserve. And my mom's gonna hate that I say this, but she's creeping 70 soon, and my dad's already in the 70s.
70?
Yeah. And like,
I feel like that's young though. Yeah.
yeah, but like, I mean, she needs double knee replacement. She just signed up for one, but it's like, I want to have them
She just retired
enjoy
too, right?
life. Yeah.
Yeah, that's impressive.
I
love
just
that.
want them to enjoy life and go on vacations and appreciate each other's companies and see the finer things in life, not just watching CNN every day. Like,
Maybe that's their vibe.
yeah, but still, like, there's so much to do in life.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
is.
I mean, they had great lives. They were military babies, so they traveled a lot growing up, but
Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like that's a different type of.
that
Like
keeps
it's a
me up.
different time, right?
Yeah, like, I want my parents to see me walk down the aisle. I want them to be here. I want them to make healthier choices and be there when I walk down the aisle. I want them to be able to lift my kids up and have fun with them and be a part of our lives.
What do you want then?
That's what I want.
Well, that's what you want for them. What
Yeah.
do you want? Like, what do you want for you? Not for them. Not for anybody else. What do you want for you?
I would love to be unapologetically myself while still having financial freedom and unmeasured happiness and great wealth. Or not great wealth, great health. Health. Not
Health,
wealth.
wealth, everything.
Yeah. Great health. Be in a healthy, equal relationship of, when I say equal, I mean we love each other equally. Have healthy children, but I'm kind of scared to bring them into this world because world's kind of be scary. But you gotta bring good people in to have it continue being a good world.
Yeah, but I feel like you're right. I feel like our parents would have said the same thing though.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's a generational thing, right?
Yeah.
The new world that's being created is different to the one that we lived. Is what it is.
What do you want? Let me just spin it on you because I don't think I'm ready to fully answer this.
You know, it's weird. A long time ago, I could have listed off like 1,000 things that I wanted.
Yeah.
And I think it wasn't, you know, let me explain it this way. When you can't have something, you want it more, right? And so for me, I've not been able to leave the United States for like 8 years, which means my entire friendships, family cut off. And for a while, I was like, oh, I'm okay with that. What I want is here. I can build and make as much money as I possibly want here. And then somewhere I was like, oh, it means nothing. Like the money, let's say the money or the validation or anything like that you might get from the things that we acquire means shit.
Yeah. Agreed with that.
Right? Like, it
Agreed.
means trash.
Yeah.
And I think I just reached that point where I was like, oh, the thing that I want the most is to be as close to my family as possible. If that means that we're not in the same country, then that's okay. But yeah, I think for now that's it.
Yeah. That's good because I feel like a lot of us answer vaguely.
Yeah.
You know, like even myself, I'm like, I want to have great health and have this and have that, but it's like, where are the details? Where kind of lines are blurred? Where is it?
Yeah.
But
Well, I think it's a hard question to ask.
it is.
It's like the same question of who are you?
Yeah. I mean, we're always evolving and growing, and our wants and needs and who we are as a person are continuously changing.
Yeah.
So how are we supposed to have a definite answer and stick to it?
That's very true.
Yeah.
Right? Because it will, even the person that I am today will change for the person that I am tomorrow. I've always chased growth over anything. So while I know that my family is on the opposite side of the world, and I'm just chilling here. Um, the growth that I will have in this country or in this area or this space will far supersede what I'll ever have in the small little country town that I came from.
Yeah.
So if I have to pick, and even though it may kill me for this moment in time, my connection for family is literally over FaceTime.
Yeah. But the sacrifice was worth it.
Always worth it.
Yeah.
Growth is always worth it.
Oh, that was a good one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. If you didn't have to worry about what other people thought, what behavior would you openly do?
Oh.
Because I feel like there's always a part of us that we're like, oh, no. Like, you just stay back there.
Oh, like intrusive thoughts?
Well, that. Sometimes. But I feel like we all present a mask, right?
Yeah.
Into the world around us, like
Yeah.
always. I'm going to butcher the saying, right? But there's a Japanese saying that we have three faces. The one the world that sees, the ones that our friends and family see, and then the one that is true to ourselves. That face is the one that no one sees. Only ourselves.
Yeah.
So it's like if there was no judgment or no other people cared or worried about what or how we showed up, or we had to think of other people, what part would show up?
You know, I don't even know who my rawest, truest form is. And, you know, the other day when I was visiting back home, I asked my parents, it was one of those TikTok videos, and it was
I love
questions
TikTok.
ask your parents before it's too late. And I remember I asked my dad, I was like, what is like one thing about me that you would want me to know before
Oh my God, I saw this
before you're
TikTok.
gone?
I sent it to my parents.
Yeah.
Like, please
And
send it.
my dad's response kind of like shook me. He said that you're still finding out who you are.
Oh, savage.
It was savage.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect this because my dad is the sweetest, kindest man
Yeah.
on earth. So I've never had him kind of like put me in my place. And for him to say that, someone who's the closest person to me saying, I still think you have to find out who you are, made me realize like, whoa.
Is that because we're always creating who we are?
I
Or we're
think
always peeling back the layers to who we are?
I think we're still peeling back the layers. And I think
Interesting.
my dad, he's always believed in me, and he always has kind of helped me remember to be a lover at the end of the day, and like always give love. Like that's literally why I have a tattoo on my foot for it. But
Every time I see you, I try to read it, and I already
it's
know
my
what it
parents'
says.
handwriting.
Yeah.
It says love always, because
I
there was a
love.
point where I was just apathetic and I showed no emotion to anyone or anything. Yeah,
Yeah.
you do. So that's why I had gotten it,
Yeah.
because he was kind of like, sweetheart, like you need to change, or that's not, no one's gonna want to be around you. And so I did. But for him to say that to me kind of shook me. I thought he was gonna be like, I'm so proud of how far you come, or like something like
He's like,
encouraging.
no, let me check you real quick.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, shit, Dad, if you say it like that. And it kind of made me think, like, what does he see that he doesn't want to tell me, that he wants me to figure out by myself? Just like you said,
Yeah.
of like, we have our own lessons that we need to figure out. Like, is there something that he sees I need to work on and improve on, or is there something that he sees potential that I haven't fulfilled yet?
It's like both, right?
Yeah.
We can't ever tell somebody what they need to change, because it's like telling someone that they're in a bad relationship. Are they going to
Yeah.
listen? Probably
No.
not.
They're going to
Because-
fight for it more.
Yeah. They're like, let me stay.
Yeah.
We can never tell somebody else has to see it themselves. Like the glasses have to come off for them to be like, oh, I get it. I learned a lesson.
Yeah. Yeah.
To me,
So-
it's like both.
So I would say to show up in my rawest, most pure self. But who is she? Oh, the other thing he said was strong.
Oh, that's
I
nice.
said, what's one
Okay.
word to describe me? And he said strong.
How do you like
I was
that
like,
how do you like that word as a description? Because I know how I feel about it, but I want to hear yours.
So at first I didn't know how to take it. Out of all the words, you choose strong.
Yeah.
And I was like, what, like strong as in like you've overcome so much? Strong as in physical? Strong as in, because sometimes when people say like, oh, you're a strong female, like sometimes it can come off derogatory. And so I didn't know how to take it. And I asked him to elaborate, and he's like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, no, I
that
don't.
was helpful.
No, I don't, Jonathan, please help me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I I think I feel good about it, strong. Like I am strong as an individual, but I don't know if that would be like my number one word to describe
Yeah,
myself.
I hate it. When
Yeah.
people are like, you're so strong. I was like, like,
Dig.
like-
Here's my heart. And you're sticking in it.
like of all work, like I get it. Outside perceptions, right, can be, but it's like, oh, okay, but you have to understand what someone has to go through in order to acquire that description.
That label. Yeah.
Yeah. So every time I hear it, I'm just like,
Please.
like of all words, resilient maybe. Like
I
that's a good
love the word resilient. I love
Resilient's
the
way
word
better than
resilient.
strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's also just vague. It leaves too much for interpretation. And when you're an overthinker or when you have overcome so much, you're usually not thinking of it in the positive light that somebody kind of wants you to think it or take
No.
it as.
And it's like strong is like the way I interpret strong is strong as you had to be.
Yeah.
Or you needed to be for whatever period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I prefer resilient.
Yeah.
Okay, so looking ahead, what do you hope your legacy will be, both professionally and personally? And how do you measure success beyond the traditional measures? We can break that up a
I
little
was
bit if
about
we
to
need.
say, I already forgot the beginning of it. Personal, business, what?
Okay, so looking ahead, what do you hope your legacy will be? Let's start professionally.
You know, I feel like they always say separate business from pleasure or like
Business
personal,
and personal,
yeah.
whatever, yeah.
But I feel like I'm all in one. And
Oh yeah, because it's
yeah,
It's
so it's
you.
like I am me. I'm showing up on my job as me and living my life as my job. So it's kind of hard to differentiate that.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to differentiate that. I don't even know what I would want my legacy to be because I feel like if you asked me that even a year ago, it's shifted already. So I think in this very moment in time, what I want my legacy to be would definitely be something around your mental health matters too, because that's a quote that I say all the time. But that's not necessarily a legacy. That's just like something to live by.
well, it could be, right?
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like I'm going to sound like a broken record and just kind of keep saying the same things in different ways. I don't really know. And I think that's okay.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's okay to not know the legacy you want to leave behind.
I feel like
I think there's people on their deathbeds who realize the legacy they're leaving isn't what they wanted.
yeah.
Yeah. What would you say?
I don't want my life to be in vain.
I think that's everyone.
Yeah, but I don't like maybe, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think whether people think about it hard enough, right? I love to help people, which is like good and a bad thing. But the ability to be able to offer whatever I have to help somebody else, that would be turned into something that helps people on a much larger scale than just myself or just what I think is capable, would be something that I can leave behind for people to continue to use. How that looks, I have no idea.
Yeah. And one thing I will say is I feel like that's stayed true. Because ever since you and I became friends and I would kind of challenge you on those kind of questions, like when we would get into deep talks, not coughs, talks, that would be something that you would kind of go around.
Literally.
Yeah.
The reason I like do this is I prefer the deep questions being asked me, not the other way around. But the thought of a podcast, right, or a video being able to be reached by people who might not have access, or like for you, right, on social media, it's a photo. That's what people see. And as deep as you're able to go with the videos or the posts that you make, it's still only one facet or one intricate as to who you are.
Yep.
Right? Whereas when we have conversations, the conversations live on, but it's also a moment in time that you can reflect back on, like your YouTube video.
I was going to say, like the YouTube videos.
Which, by the way, you should go back and watch.
I should go back and do it.
I feel like if you go back and watch it, because you go into there about what you want your purpose to be.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's like a little nugget in there that you could extract that somehow, and I don't know, I'm just like projecting this out, would tie into the mental health matters.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, ever since I started social media, it's always came back down to mental health.
How do you maintain healthy relationships while pursuing the goals that you want?
Boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like what that one of that lessons that you have taught me is boundaries and expectations and setting them and having complete open communication. So if I'm having a busy week with someone, I tell them, hey, I want to catch up with you, but this week's really crazy for me. How does X amount time work with you? Or like when we were trying to schedule this, I'm like, hey, this month is really crazy for me. Can we go towards end of April?
Yeah.
I feel like it all comes down to being open communication, both sides, not just one way. Then boundaries and expectations, treating the friendship how you would want to be treated.
I love it.
Simple. That's all you need.
Simple and to the point.
Yeah.
I like it. Actually, I lied when I said
Oh,
last
I
question.
was gonna say, I was
There's
like,
one
she's
more.
pointing. There's
Because
another one.
this is actually the last one. I promise. If you had advice for your younger self, what would it be?
There's a lot of advice. I would give a whole book. I would give,
To a different version. So we did the teenage version. 24-year-old.
oh, don't be scared. Like, why are you living so fearful? Like, why are you holding on to things that aren't serving you, that your heart isn't in it? And why are you so upset that you lost this one job when you weren't even that thrilled about it anyways? Like, life is going to happen in the way it's meant to. And what's meant for you will always find you. And I was out here searching with freaking like binoculars. I was like, where is it? And it's like right in front of me. I had no idea. I think
It
that's
always
kinda-
comes.
It always comes.
Always.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much for... Let me start that again. Thank you so much, Ashley, for coming on the podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me, Ash. It was good.
Amazing. Thank you so much.